Contributors on Conklin and Company are not necessarily those of 13 ABC. Now, Conklin and Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
Welcome back, everybody. It is time to talk, get back into the political arena now. We'll talk about some national polls just ahead of the GOP convention in just a minute, but we'll bring it really close to home now with Fletcher Word from the Sojourner's Truth and London Mitchell from one of our media partners, Cumulus Radio. Good to have you on the program again. Let's first of all start with the last 8 to 10 days for the city of Toledo, Mayor Bell's administration specifically. Tough week. Really, and it all started with the whole Southwick announcement a week ago, past Thursday, right. 10 days or so ago, when there was a deal. A developer came forward and said, we've got ideas for baseball complex, softball tournaments, what have you, over at Southwick, what truly is, has been an eyesore for years, yes. Absolute eyesore, and it's embarrassing for the city. There's no question about it. So for about 24 hours, maybe there was a, hey,
glimmer of hope.
Yes, something's going to get done here. Yeah. And then it all came crashing down with word that the man at the center of it had
the developer
had been the center of dozens of lawsuits. Yeah. And so it goes. I mean,
well, we say 24 hours. There was a glimmer of hope. Actually, the blade uncovered within about 30 minutes.
Less than that, right?
Recognize the man's name.
Recognize the man's name. That he had had a troubled past, and that this was not someone that the city should be involved with in terms of lending or giving money to. This was some incredibly poor staff work on the part of Mayor Bell's people, and at least one head did roll already. Tom Crothers, deputy mayor, and so he's out. He's been demoted, but it was incredibly poor staff work, something that should have been uncovered very quickly.
Yeah, London, you as you watch this, your observations.
Embarrassment, poor staff work, but really an embarrassment for the mayor who was out there thinking that, boy, I've got the answer, because everybody is saying, look at Southwick and how it's bringing down that entire Reynolds Road area, which used to be one of the stars, one of the very
But now we have to go back 20
points.
years almost, when it was, it's sort of a shining light.
No, that's exactly right.
2 decades ago.
2 decades, yes.
Yeah. And frankly, I live in that area, and I'm very concerned that if something doesn't pop, we're going to really see some blight right around the corner.
It's amazing what a corridor that used to be down there, because you look at what was the Holiday Inn down there on Heather Downs and Reynolds, and what an exciting spot that was. The Ramada right across the street. You go up TGI Fridays on Airport. There was another place in that area that was very exciting, but the Southwick Mall.
Dominic's was open and thriving, and I mean, so many things have happened since that time. But it was a desirable place in which to live.
It was a desirable place to live, a great entertainment district. It was really a hopping area.
Right. So it all comes crashing down in less than 24 hours, as you pointed out. But shortly thereafter, and this news comes out, that they had not properly vetted this man and this company and his dealings. The mayor proposes to council, he wants to raise the pay range of his top staffers. And that really drew some sharp criticism as well, for the timing specifically. London, go ahead and start.
I'm just thinking that the timing, this is the administration that embarrassed the mayor because no one properly vetted the developer. Now we've got him wanting to give raises, and I would like to think that there are probably a lot of people living on a lot of streets in Toledo and saying, when are the chuck holes going to be fixed? And now the mayor wants to give as much as a 20% raise to some of his administrators. That I do not think is going to sit well with people who are
and there was a study conducted about other cities around the state that Toledo lacks or falls behind in those pay ranges.
Well, that's true, but timing, there's a double-edged sword here when it comes to timing, because on the other hand, it was less than 2 months ago when employees who clean government buildings, and this decision had nothing to do with the city, it was state directed, but the employees who clean one government center the SEIU union, who were making less than $10 an hour. They were ousted in a cost savings move by the state for folks who would be making maybe 10% less than that. And on the heels of that cost-cutting move, now comes the mayor who wants to raise salaries on very highly paid officials, comparatively speaking.
And I don't think anybody...
That's another timing problem.
And I don't think anybody who works for the county at Government Center has seen a raise in a long, long time.
Yeah. There's a general austerity movement within the state, within local government, within households.
Right.
This is not a good time to be talking about pay raises for people who have solid jobs and are doing fairly well. This is not a good time.
Looking a year out now, a little more than a year, at election time, a re-election time for the mayor, if indeed we believe he intends to run for re-election. A week like this, coupled with the fact that we don't see much happening at the Marina District yet with the Chinese investors, things of this nature, how much could it hurt a year from now? Running.
Well, if this were 2013, it would be a tremendous setback. Anything can happen in a year, as we see on all sorts of levels in politics. But if this were 2013, this would be, and there were an opponent, you know, or two out there who was ready to jump on all of this, this would be horribly damaging.
Yeah, that's what I think. There's no opposition. There's no opponent. So nobody today to make any capital gains on the stories.
To jump on this. Although you keep hearing Anita Lopez is the one name that we hear.
We do hear that.
Often.
Yeah, we haven't heard it from her yet.
Right.
You know, not publicly, but we do hear that a lot.
All right. Before we run out of time here, let's go to the poll from Quinnipiac this past week. One of the more recent polls, presidential poll here in Ohio. President Obama 50 to 44%. Mitt Romney margin of error of almost 3%. And another Ohio poll has a little bit closer than that. On the eve of the Republican convention this week, what kind of bump does Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan need this week? London?
I think they need a big one here in Ohio, and I'm not sure that that Paul Ryan was the man to give him the bump as far as running mates go, and I say that because I can't think of another person in the Republican Party that could solidify the liberals against Romney because of where Ryan stands on the very issue of the budget, Medicare funding, and some of those other very conservative issues.
And then this week, the whole Senate race with Aiken came up, and that blew up, and you don't know.
That blew up, and
keeps them off topic.
That's the statement of legitimate rape, and that gets them off of the economic topic that they really need to go back to. And I think the Republicans did themselves a disservice by highlighting that so much rather than just letting the thing die. You know, trying to strangle the guy, and he dug in his heels there. I agree with Lon, though. I think that Ryan was not his best choice. I think that. I really think, I've said this a million times, Rick Santorum, I thought he should have reached out to him as a national name, solid conservative. But Marco Rubio in Florida, what the heck is wrong with Marco Rubio in Florida that you don't pick a rising star like that in a state that you need?
You have to have.
You have to have that. And the campaign was saying that he's not a national name. Well, how many national names do we have?
Right. I think he had become one.
I really do. I agree with you 100%. I think he should have been the choice.
All right. Fletcher Word, London Mitchell, great stuff. Thanks very much for coming in. We appreciate it. We're going to be back next week with another edition of Conklin and Company. Make it a great Sunday, everybody. We'll see you next week. And join us all this week, 13 ABC Action News.